Hello and welcome to Handisi the Engineers podcast. This is Newton, and we have a very, very important conversation today. A very special guest and one of the smartest engineers I know when it comes to power systems. Please stay tuned and listen carefully because there's going to be a lot of information. This will be one of those episodes that you would want to listen to again and again. And our guest is Maureen Adhiambo. She is a power systems offer manager with over 5 years experience in power systems. She has done a lot of tendering work, technical presentations, risk and opportunities analysis on RFQs, and many more. Welcome, Maureen.
Thank you so much, Newton. Thanks for having me on the show. I think it's quite a privilege to be here and share my story as far as engineering or power systems is concerned.
Yes. Again, you're welcome, Maureen. Just to get us started, tell us something about power systems. When we say power systems, what do we exactly mean?
Power systems, as the name suggests, is the power network. And when you talk of power systems, you're looking at right from how do you get your power generation, all the way to transmission and distribution of power up to the customer's premises. So when I talk of power systems of a manager, it's mainly looking at solutions, providing solutions to customers in that space, all the way, as you've said, from generation to the customer's premises. So we look at the design aspect, we look at the load calculations, the fault calculations, we look at the equipment, we look at the losses, what kind of losses are you looking at, so that at the end of the day, we're delivering power to the customers in the most efficient way and also with minimum losses and at the most optimized cost. So that is generally what power systems entails.
Yeah, thank you, Maureen, for that answer. That was a good response. So, tell us something also about how you came to be involved as a power systems offer manager.
So myself, I have a background in electrical and communications engineering. So I did my undergraduate course of and majored in heavy current back then. And heavy current is more of power systems. So that's where my background sits. And of course, after school, everyone looks for a job. I landed in Schneider Electric after 2 years of course, stomaching and seeing where I can settle and develop my career in. And when I came to Schneider Electric, it was not on the power systems of a management role. I've done a lot of tendering in my previous role for the last 4 years in Schneider Electric. So, majorly looking at utility segment power solutions, that is mainly of course, generation utilities. We look at the distribution sector and transmission solutions. So my background in tendering is what gave me a good base to launch into the power systems of our management, because for me I was seeking to first understand the market, understand the solutions available, understand how to put across technically very sound offers, both technically and commercially, because I believe engineering, there has to be a balance between costs and the design. So you wouldn't be a good engineer if you can only design a very good solution, but it's not affordable to most people. So the tendering background gave me a very good knowledge on the market, what we're looking at in the power systems sector, who are my main customers, who are the main utilities companies in that space, how do I package my offer in such a way that it speaks to the customer, both technically and commercially. So after doing the job for 4 years in tendering, I felt like I've mastered this. I've done a lot in tendering. I've understood the market. I've understood the offers, and I needed a challenge and something different. Every time when you were used to doing something for a long time, or you've done it for quite a number of times, and you're growing comfortable, so I felt it is time to move and launch into a more challenging role, and that is when I launched into the power systems offer management at Schneider Electric. So maybe going forward, we can discuss what it actually entails. So that is how I landed in power systems offer management, and I've been doing it for the last 1 year.
You've actually read my mind. I was I wanted us to get into knowing what you do on a day-to-day basis and what, on a broader sense, what Power Systems of a manager does.
Okay, thank you. So I think I'll start by defining what Schneider Electric does as a company, and from there it will form the basis of now how my role comes into play. So Schneider Electric, of course, is a global multinational. It focuses mainly on energy management and industrial automation solutions. So under energy management, we look at all offers, all products, all solutions that can help our customers manage their energy, produce energy, transmit energy, generate or distribute at a very cost effective in a very cost effective way with very cost effective solutions. So we call ourselves an OEM, original equipment manufacturer. So we manufacture equipment and solutions that fit in the energy management space. And apart from that, we are also into sustainability. So we embed our operations with some of the sustainability goals for United Nations. That is access to affordable and clean energy. That is, I think, SDG 7. We also embed our operations on the providing sustainable solutions to cities and communities. That is SDG number 11. And our operations are also anchored on climate action, taking care of the environment and the whole sustainability agenda. So Schneider is very big on sustainability, and we also look at how does our solutions improve the climate, how does it improve the environment. So our operations are anchored on sustainability. So now that is basically Schneider Electric. So how does my role as power systems of a manager sit in? So, because power systems and energy management is one they're very closely related topics, where you cannot talk about energy management if you first don't look at the solution that enables you to actually manage your energy well. So power systems of our management looks at what solutions do we have for energy management, how best do we package these solutions to fit the customer's need, what is the trend in the market, what can we do to improve what is existing. We do products, use this product specification. So if a customer is looking at building a power stations, for instance, and they approach Schneider, so Schneider will sit down with the customer and help them specify the product itself, what goes into specification, what goes into the design. How do you design your solution so that at the end of the day, you get a very optimized solution and you get value for your money. So we look at specifications at early stages of product development or project development, the inception stage. And from there, once I've helped the customer to specify the solution, we go into the design. So the solution goes into the tender, of course. We've specified and advised the customer, this is how you put across your specification so that it speaks your language and it gives you value for your money. Then after that, I also support customers in preliminary design. So after the tender is out, we do preliminary design. I develop SLDs for customers. Now from there, the project goes to tender. So at tender stage, I also support our tendering teams to check that whatever we are offering to the customer is technically very viable and it's also very optimized. So I do a lot of technical support to the tendering teams and the sales team. After technical support, now we submit a tender, and then it comes to negotiation where we need to have a discussion with the customer, and we'll have some give and take away. So the customer says, yes, the solution is good, but I'm not able to afford this. Then we look at it and say, what can we do without? What can we do with? And how are we complying to the customer's requirement? Because I believe all customers don't have the same requirements. So I go into the details of really customizing the solution to fit the customer's particular need and not just a general solution. So that is the stage where we do a lot of negotiations. We look at what is technically sound and what can the customer afford, especially for projects that are just aimed at providing energy to communities and or low income communities.
Hi, producer Okello here. Sorry to interrupt the flow of the podcast, but the next section of our conversation with Maureen had some considerable noise. So, for the next minute, I shall read a transcript of the conversation that we managed to salvage and then resume with her where the noise ends.
So apart from that, I also do a lot of training to customers.
Mainly on our medium voltage solutions, our transformer solutions, our low voltage solutions, because power systems is basically all the way from generation to the customer's premises. So I also have to train these customers on the solutions that I'm offering, because I believe if you sell a solution to a customer and you don't train them on the usage, they are not able to get the maximum out of the solution that you're giving them. Because you might give a solution that has a lot of capability and the customer does not utilize the capabilities of the solution. So I do a lot of technical training to customers and just making sure that they get the optimum from the solution that they are provided with. So those are the main 4 roles that I play as a power systems offer manager. And then for any manufacturer, you need to know the trends in the market. Like for now, we are developing a switchgear that is SF6 free because what is commonly in the market has SF6 gas. So we are developing that solution. And now we support the customers to know how do you retrofit this solution to your current installation. For instance, if the customer has 10 panels at site
And
and
now
now
they want to replace, let's say, one of the panels or the switch gears has a problem. So for now, if the switch gear was with the SF6 gas, I'll recommend to the customer, no, you need to replace with an SF6 free switch gear. So how does the customer do that retrofit? How do they replace? I give information about the product, whether it is obsolete, which one is being replaced, what is the equivalent in the market, what are the trends. So we also keep abreast with the trends in the market and update our offers and give feedback to our R&D team to improve our products to better suit the customer needs. Lastly, Schneider also has a bit of sustainability, as I'd say. So apart from just looking at our business and providing solutions to the customers, we do a lot of sustainability initiatives. So I'm one of the volunteers in the Schneider Sustainability Academy, where we offer trainings to institutions like the Technical Institute, the Don Bosco Training Institutes, the technical institutes, where we believe by empowering the society, we are able to lift communities, empower communities, so that they are able to stand on their own. So apart from just pushing our solutions and making business, we're also giving back to the society, and I'm part of that team that does the sustainability initiatives for Schneider Electric.
Yeah, thanks, Maureen. That was an elaborate answer, and a few points that are coming out from that response. So you said you worked as a tendering officer for 4 years, and at some point you go to realize that you're getting comfortable, and therefore you wanted a bigger challenge. Would you speak to us about that process in terms of the mark point where you arrived at the 4 years and said, okay, now I want another opportunity? Or there was an offer from Schneider that was saying, we need somebody from this position, and therefore you felt like I'm able to deliver on that. How did it happen?
For me, I think I have one principle in life that I should never be very comfortable. Okay, I should never grow comfortable. And they say necessity is the mother of invention. So for me, after doing tendering for 4 years, I was so good at it that I would even close my eyes and work out a solution. So that is how well I got at it. And for me, it was more of when I joined the company, I told myself, I want to grow in this role, but when it will come a time where I feel I've learned all that I needed, then it will be the right time to make a move. So, for instance, Schneider always has a lot of opportunities, but no one will give you an opportunity and call you, hey, Maureen, I want you to move from this place to this place. No, it's like a very competitive company where your work speaks for itself. Okay. So when I got to my fourth year of tendering, I was actually looking for being more of a managerial position within the same team, but I also felt like it will not change what I do on a daily basis. So it got to a point where I would wake up and wonder, what new thing am I learning in this job? For me, I believe on learn every day, grow every day, do something different every day. So it got to a point where, of course, the solutions I used to offer to customers, there was a variation on one or two things. I would still learn a few things, but I felt that my growth curve had reached some sort of the peak. Okay, as far as that position is concerned. So I decided to make my manager, and also in Schneider we have some sort of career development path that it is your own initiative where you get to discuss with your manager on what you want to do in future and how you do it. So it's upon you to take up the initiative. And I believe in life, things don't come to those people who just sit and wait. The good things come to those people who go out to fetch for actually the good things that they want. So for me, I grew uncomfortable. I felt like I've grown enough and I need a new challenge, because that is my philosophy in life: grow every day, learn every day. So that is what propelled me to start looking out for opportunities. And I remember I even discussed with my the HR director, and I told her I'm not really, and I'm that person who'd always want people to know what I think, what I feel, and what my next move would be. So normally, for some people, it will be changing departments or changing companies or changing careers. But for me, I decided I want to grow in this company, but I want a different position. So when I discussed with the HR, I discussed with my manager, and they actually thought, I think we need an offer manager for power systems. So it is the need. They saw the need after me talking to them. It's not like they created it for me. No, I had to push, I had to speak about it and told them, I think I can do this. And that is how I got the job.
That's very encouraging. Looks like you go look for the job and then the job is offered. Very positive. So there's something else you mentioned about having a conversation with supporting the customer, and I just wanted to understand at what point does the customer come in? For example, if I have a project and I'm not a technical person, let's assume I have an example. I'm not a technical person. At what point do the Schneider team come in? Is it that the customer reaches out to Schneider and then now it is a specific team is pointed out, or in the traditional forms of marketing that people get information from, say, for example, social media leads, and then now Schneider approaches the client?
Okay, that's a good question. So, for me, I don't believe in traditional marketing where you sit and wait for the customer to reach out to you, because that is a bit old school. If we were to do that, we'll never have customers, because it is a very competitive world. We are in a very competitive space where you need to carve out your path for you to actually get results. So what we do our own marketing initiatives. For instance, I will do for if I want, like for the SF6 free gas switchgear that I'm supposed to launch in the course of the year, I'll not wait until I launch so that I start talking to the customer. I've started already preparing my customers and letting them know that there's something that is coming up. And I've already started doing seminars, webinars, technical workshops with my customers. So what I do, especially for my role, I look at who are my target customers, the utilities. Okay. The utilities in the East Africa region, we have Kenya Power, we have EUCL in Rwanda, we have EDCL in EUDCL in Uganda, we have Umeme also in Uganda, Burundi, we are also looking at Regidiso. So my initiative, as far as this product is concerned, is that I need to have a technical workshop with the technical teams in each of the utilities. markets. Okay, so like the next 2 weeks, I have a technical workshop with the TANESCO team, the technical team from their projects or investment committees. After that, I have a technical workshop also with Zanzibar Electricity Company. Then after that, I go to Regidiso in Burundi, and after that, I go to Uganda. So I'm preparing these customers and telling them, look, whatever product you've been buying from Schneider Electric, the solution is becoming obsolete soon, and we are introducing a better solution that will be more friendly to the environment. These are the technical characteristics, and I even ask for their feedback. What would you want to see in this kind of solution? So the customers feel like they're part of the solution and not just you going to them with the solution trying to sell. So when you involve them as early as now, they feel like they have been part of it. They have given their feedback in terms of what they would want to see with the product, and it works. Okay. So such a customer, because you've been engaging him constantly, anytime they have a project, and let's say the guy is not technical the way you've said, the first person they'll think about is Schneider, because he already knows the capabilities of Schneider. They already know what products we have and how we can support them. So the customer approaches us and tells us, I want to put up a substation, for instance. So we get the customer, we ask them, what is your load like? What voltages are you looking at? What are the capacities of the transformers that you're looking at based on your load? So we walk the journey with the customer. We try to develop the solution together. So we've done a lot of site visits, understand the market, because the market in Tanzania is very different from the market in Kenya or Rwanda. Understand the market and the needs of the people in that specific setup, and then develop a solution. So even when you're developing the solution to the customer, we don't just do an SLD and push it to the customer and give a BOQ. No, we actually go to the customer and discuss with them, this is what we're proposing, this is how your SLD will look like, these are the products that you're proposing, these are the functionalities of the solution that you're proposing, does it make sense to you? Okay, so that is how we walk the journey. We even help customers to do tender documents, because the customers who will approach, they don't even have tender documents. They don't even know how to float the tender in the first place. So we develop for them the tender document, and we give the customer the will to choose. So we actually even allow the customer to put an open tender. But tell me, for such a customer that you've walked with the journey, will they not be more inclined to buying your solution compared to someone who's just coming at a bid stage from nowhere? Okay, so that is what we try to do as Schneider, to walk the journey with the customers.
That is a sales speech. And how did you attend any technical sales training?
Myself, yes, I did.
At what point in your journey?
No,
Whether you,
yeah.
I mean, whether you attended that training once you ascended to the higher position of a manager, or was it during your tendering stage, tendering role?
I think for me, most of my learnings have been on job, not really sitting in a class to learn technical sales or technical prescription. No, it has been more of learning on the job. Okay. So I didn't mention, but my first job before I joined Schneider, I was a technical sales engineer at it's called Amotech East Africa. So what I used to do there is to sell, and I would do the marketing, the sale, the technical support, the installation of fluke measurement equipment. Okay, so that is the first bit of experience that I gained in technical sales. Now, when it came to Schneider, what happens is you do more of on-the-job learning, like preparing risk registers, preparing contract forms or to contact documents for customer. That is more on the job. So because if you're working on the tender, for instance, you have to look at, not just for us, tendering is more of a technical role than even just the pricing, because you have to look at the solution the customer needs, and now merge the two. Okay, so with that you get to learn get to balance the technical aspect of your solution and the sales aspect, because if you have a very good technical offer and you're not able to sell, then it's a failure. So it is a balance between the two, and I did a lot of that in tendering, and I actually managed to secure a lot of projects. When you go into a bid with that mentality, it is more of a quote to win mentality, and at the same time you are giving a very technically strong or yeah, technically feasible solution to the customer. So that is, I've been doing it more on the job and not really sitting in a class to learn.
Well, you should consider teaching them, because that pitch was quite a good one.
No. I'm an energy manager.
Okay. Yeah. So on the sales again, imagine, for example, that this is Maureen, the university student that has stomach for 2 years, and then now she has transitioned into the position of being a sales engineer or a technical salesperson. Were there challenges in this process, or once you are given this like imagine this situation. This is Maureen, new role. You're supposed to sell a flock meter. How did you proceed? How did you get yourself out of the position of I wasn't a technical salesperson yesterday, but today I'm a technical salesperson?
I would say, to be honest, it's not an easy feat, okay? Because engineering degrees, to some extent, they don't prepare us for the commercial aspects of engineering projects, okay? We do so much on the technical that we forget to look at, is my solution, am I able to sell my solution? Because it will be meaningless if you have a solution and you're not able to sell. So for me, I was in that space, and I also didn't expect that after school I will get to do a bit of sales and still do my technical aspect. So when I got to Amotech, it wasn't easy. Actually, the first 6 months, I almost quit the job. And I actually did. After 1 year, I quit. But the first 6 months are very difficult because I had a very strong pull towards the technical side. And I would do very good technical presentations. And even my manager told me, Maureen, you're very good technical. If you could just learn a little of sales acumen, it'd be perfect. Because I'll do very nice technical presentations. I will assist the customers with the installation of the equipment. I'll do troubleshooting if the meters have a problem. So I was really good at that, and typically that's what most engineers were good at. But then at some point, I think my turning point came on the fifth month of the job, where I realized, now this is my life. I can decide to complain and not do anything, or I decide to actually turn around the story and combine my technical capabilities and learn a bit of sales. So I used to have a manager who was very good with sales. So I would go with him to customer visits and just get to hear him sell the equipment, make a sales strokes technical pitch. And one of the main things that I learned is the salient features of your solution should come out in a way that is very appealing to the customer. Okay, so for instance, I would say this is an SF6 free switch gear, and another person would say this it's an environmentally friendly switch gear. Okay, to some customers, SF6 doesn't make a lot of sense to them. Okay, because how is it my problems? But when you put it as it is an environmentally friendly switchgear, then it can speak to anyone, even someone who is not technical. Okay, so you are still passing across the same message, but really being cognizant of the fact that it should speak to the customer needs and not your needs as the person who's trying to sell. So that is one thing I learned, that focus more on the customer's needs and show them how you're solving the problems as compared to you talking about the capabilities of the equipment. So starting more on the problem and how you're solving it really makes a big difference with the customers.
Okay, so at some point your boss carried you along, so that kind of an apprenticeship way of learning.
Yes.
Yes, and that was actually good, because sometimes when you're left alone, you might be a good engineer, yes, but if you're not seeing the results, then that's just another a very big problem. But let's proceed to something about negotiation. From what you talked earlier, I realized that you're also big on negotiation. Are there learnings on this? What are some of the things that made you be pretty well versed and good in negotiation?
And when I talk about negotiations, it takes me back to value propositions. Huh? Now, when you're negotiating with a customer, you need to know that none of you is wrong. Actually, it's more of a perception and how you view things. Huh? So I'll give you an instant, particular project that I got to see that negotiation really worked. And no, I had a customer who was looking at buying transformers. Okay, so we had specified with the customer. It went to tender. The tender was floated. We bid it, and this happened recently when I was in power systems actually. And it got to the negotiation where the customer was saying, you have a very good product, your solution is quite good, you've really supported me, but your price is very high. Okay, so I asked the customer, how high? And he told me, you're like 20% more expensive than your competitor. And I asked them, is the competition or our competitor offering the same value propositions that we had? The customer was like, no, a transformer is just a transformer. All I need is just power in my facility. So the customer was putting up a manufacturing plant locally. So I was shocked, and I told the customer, a transformer is not a transformer. And we went on arguing about why it's not any transformer is not just a transformer. So what I did was to ask this customer, could you please show me the data sheet of the competitor so that we know we're comparing like to like. You know, you could be comparing an apple to a banana. And the customer was good enough to show me, this is the data sheet from the technical data sheet from Schneider's transformer. This is the technical data sheet of the competitor X. So me knowing what to look out for in a technical data sheet, I looked at the what you call the load losses and the no load losses. So for a power systems engineer, what you look at is the equipment that you're buying. What are the network losses, or what are the losses that you anticipate with this equipment? Because we are talking about energy efficiency and managing energy, we should also look at the system losses that is associated with the equipment that you're installing in the network. So what I did was to quickly check my load losses were very low. My no load losses were also quite low. And for the competitor, their losses were at least 20 to 30% higher. So I did a quick math with the customer, and you guys are engineers, you bear with me, you'd understand this. If my equipment has very high load losses, it means when the transformer is powered, whatever amount of energy is drawing from the network is higher because of the very high load losses. So when the transformer is loaded, the losses are quite high. So this translates to your power bills and all your energy costs that is associated with this equipment. So I showed the customer, yes, you'll be spending 20% higher in terms of buying this equipment. But at the end of the 25 years, because a transformer is designed to last for almost up to 30 years. But every year, if you are to go with the competitor's transformer, you'll be spending like 30% more in terms of your power bills. Okay. So at the end of the 5 years, or like actually in the first year of using my transformer, you will have recovered this money in terms of the savings in your power bills. Okay. So if you compute that for 25 years, it actually means my transformer is way cheaper than the competitor's transformer, because as engineers, we should be looking at the total cost of the equipment, not just how much are you spending right now, but because you're in this business for the long run, this equipment is supposed to last for 30 years, you look at the total cost of the equipment, the TCO, and that is how you make a decision. And the customer was sold. Okay. So for me, negotiations is not just talking or convincing the customer or sweet talking the customer. It is showing the customers the facts on why my solution is better than the other, even if it means going deeper into calculations and showing them the actual value proposition. So I don't do the conventional market of saying, my product is good. That is not good, is not a statement. Show me how it's good. Show me the value proposition. Show me how much money I'll be saving when I go with your solution and not the other person's solution. So that is what has worked for me over the years as far as negotiations are concerned.
And no school can teach you that.
No, I feel like you learn on the job more. No school will teach you that. It will teach you that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that means that one, you're good in what you're doing, and then two, you exactly know what to look for. And let's have a twist in the question again. So, assuming, for example, that this customer did not give you the data sheet, how would you have come out of that situation?
That's a tricky one. The data sheet, by the time I was asking for the data sheet, I actually know what this particular competitor gives. I also do market research. I do a lot of market research and just knowing who are my competitors, what do they have, what are the prices in the market, which customer are they targeting. Because if I sell in isolation, I will not know what is happening. Maybe tomorrow, my main competitors are already developed another switchgear that is more superior than mine. So I have to keep myself updated with the market trends in just getting to know, because I am the person who is supposed to give feedback to my line of business, the power systems management and the R&D team, on how we can improve our equipment, how we can make it better, how we can make it more competitive in our market. So for me to have that kind of data, I also do a lot of market research on what is available and how good are they and how better can I make my solution. So that is also what helped a lot. So by the time I was asking for that data sheet, I actually knew what I was driving at, because I also have that in terms of market research.
Okay. So either way, you had the information and you could find a way of showing the customer your value.
Yes, and I didn't want it to come from me because he might doubt. That is why I pushed it back to the customer.
Okay. Sometimes when you're doing this low voltage work, you might meet a client who's like, you put a bulb, bora inawaka, and then if you're not really quite well versed in how to maneuver that, you might find yourself in a difficult situation. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the training. And you know that you and I met because of the MV training that attended at Schneider.
Yes.
Now, in a in a situation where you find, let's say, persons that are coming from the field, they may be having a little bit of more experience than other members. How do you go about teaching, or rather doing the training on that, now that you're one of the good persons on this matter? So, assuming, for example, you have a class of like 10 engineers, one is more experienced, the other one is less experienced, and then there's one that is starting out. How do you achieve the balance in that training?
I think for me, how I conduct my trainings is to first understand the background of the attendees in the training. By just the introductions and getting to know what someone does, what capacity they are in, what company, what projects they're into. You're able to tell whether this person, the level of competency or the level of knowledge about the subject matter that they have. So that bit is usually very important, and I try to do that with with the most of my training sessions. And no, that's notwithstanding, I've been a teacher before, and you mentioned that I could make a good teacher. I've been a teacher before, just before joining campus. And I realized that to be an effective teacher, you also need to be an effective communicator. Meaning, you conduct the training, yes, but you also you get feedback, okay? Because that feedback will help you know what areas need more emphasis, which team or the particular people in the team that need a lot of emphasis, and it also gives you an idea of where to start from. Okay, so for instance, if I was to do a medium voltage training, like the one you attended, I'll not start at the calculations on how you're calculating faults, load flow analysis. No, I have to build up to that point where I do the basics of engineering, just a reminder of what we learned in our engineering classes, what is short circuit faults, what causes faults in electrical systems or power networks, how do you rectify the faults, what are the protection mechanisms, a recap of the basics first before you start building up on the main topic. Okay, so that basics also gives you an idea of the audience that you're talking to, the level of expertise, and what you need to focus on. And most of the time, I actually have presentations, but I don't stick to those presentations. They're just a guideline. But for me, I customize it, and you notice in my trainings that I decide to go more with what the class feels more than what is in the training manuals. So that gives me space or the leeway to understand my audience and focus on what speaks to them more rather than what I want to train them. Because if I'm speaking to, let's say, guys in construction, or if I'm training engineers in power networks or the guys working for utilities companies, my trainings will be different from when I'm training private companies or private manufacturing firms, because for them they come to see what solutions you have for their specific need. Okay, if it is a mining industry, they want solutions for that mining industry. They don't care about power flow studies. Okay, because whatever happens upstream, they don't care about it. They just know, this is my cement factory, what products do you have for this particular application. Now, if I'm talking to Kenya Power engineers, for them there'll be more of load flow analysis, short circuit calculations, because they look at the whole power systems network. So that is how I customize my training, so that I speak more to my audience and not just trying to push what I think is good for them.
Yeah, nice. That's actually a good way of approaching it. And yeah, so according to time, we are 8 minutes to the hour. But let's talk a little bit on your aspect of growth. And when you mentioned about the transition from your first position of the job that you had before to the one that you're having right now, the offer manager, you mentioned something about initiative and the fact that you speak out once you find a need to speak. So, what advice would you have for young engineers who maybe are having that situation where they might be fearing to speak to their managers?
Okay, before I answer that, I could also give a little bit of my growth journey, what it's been like. So I would say that growth, of course, it's a very personal initiative. So for me, apart from just having a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, I went back to school and did my MSc in energy management. And someone would ask, why would you even go back to do your masters. Okay, after working for around 4 years, and I graduated last year with an MSc in energy management. So for me, it is what can set me apart with the rest of the people, because we are in a very competitive market, we're in a very competitive space. So when I went back to school and did my MSc in energy management, and I graduated, and the company was actually very excited, and so that was part of my growth journey. And for me, I think I had not mentioned, I have a passion in energy management, making sure that people have access to clean and affordable energy. They manage their energy resources efficiently, and very much on sustainability. Okay, so that is what speaks to me. So in my growth journey, I've learned to listen to what speaks to me. What do I love doing? What's my passion like? Okay, and when I'm in power systems, I'm combining the two, power systems and energy management. Okay, to better my solutions or how I approach my customers. So it's a very personal initiative. No one actually asked me to go back to school. No one asked me to venture into energy management. And even now, apart from just doing my persistent role, I'm also the energy manager for the Schneider Electric manufacturing facility. So I look at how are we utilizing our energy in this facility, in our manufacturing plant. Is it efficient? What improvements can we make? So that is like my side job. I'm actually not being paid for that, but it's because that is my passion. So it's a very kind of personal initiative that you need to push yourself and grow, and become the best version of yourself. So that is how my growth journey has been like. And when it comes to now my role and how I moved from tendering to persistence, it's just because of that personal initiative. Being the one person in the room that is able to speak out, is able to take additional roles, is able to give solutions where everyone is quiet. So for me, I've been that person that when I attend meetings, I need to speak. If I get out of a meeting and I didn't speak, then I tell myself, then was I really needed in that meeting? Was my input really needed? Because why would I sit in a meeting for like half an hour, 1 hour, and leave, and actually do I leave without giving in my contribution? So that has been my push for as long as I know that whatever space I'm in, or whatever capacity I'm in, I need to make my presence felt. I need to have an impact. Okay. So I remember I would go to tendering meetings we'd have every day in the morning, and every day I'll challenge, like if a salesperson brings an RFQ, I'll tell them, do you know the market price of this? Who are your competition? What's your target price? What solution is the customer? What problem does the customer want? Because those are some of the things you don't see in RFQs. In RFQ, you'll just see it outlining that we could require the technical specifications. But what will set you apart with the rest of the bidders is, are you responding to the customer's need? So that has always been my push. My presence needs to be felt. I need to make an impact in my space. Yeah.
Thank you, Maureen, for that answer. Yeah, and I'm also curious. Are you, other than just being a technical person and doing sales, and only volunteering for Schneider, I mean Schneider Academy, only in quotes. Are you doing other things other than? Are you doing other things that are not technical?
Yes, I'm the founder of a group called My Engineers Kenya. I founded it last year out of my passion of mentoring people, and you mentioned that I can make a good people, a good teacher. So I'm very big at mentorship also, and the group, uh, actually what we do is a group of engineers that have come together to try and mentor students in high school to increase their uptake of STEM courses, especially engineering. So that is why we call ourselves My Engineers. I know there's so many groups focusing on STEM and the like and the girl child, but for us, we are specifically looking at mentoring students to take up engineering courses. I founded it last year around January, and it has been something that has been in my heart for a long time. And last year, I finally gathered the courage to start up the group. So far, we've done 5 mentorship sessions in 5 schools. And our mentorship is not just showing up, talking to students, and you go. It is more of a lifelong mentorship. And we even look at these students when they transition from high school and they take up engineering courses. How do we continue holding their hands even when they come to the job market? How do we introduce them to the job market? How do we make it easy for them? Because you see, yes, you can mentor a student, they take up engineering, they go to the university, they do it for 5 years, and then they venture into something else. Okay, so most of them, they don't have role models to look up to. They don't have people to show them that these opportunities are available. Because for me, I didn't have that. Okay, when I came from school, it was just hustling. But I feel like if we can have engineers holding each other's hands, when I hear of an opportunity, I can tell Newton this is coming up. So that is my passion, and I would want to leave the world a better place than I found it through mentorship. And just knowing that there's someone else will come after me and take up my position when I'm either old or I'm not here. And the sustainability aspect, that the engineering profession should be sustainable. And we start with students in high school. So that is what we do with My Engineers Kenya.
We are so aligned on that because I also believe that if if you light somebody else's candle, doesn't mean that yours gets less brighter. And that is actually important that you are proceeding on that. And how does one come out to help My Engineers Kenya if they would want to?
Yeah, so it's open. We are recruiting engineers currently. People who are interested. So what happens is we have to travel to those schools, maybe over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you can reach out to me. We have a Facebook page. We have a website, My Engineers KE. KE with capital, My Engineers with small letters, and you can also reach out to me in case you're interested to be part of the initiative. So yeah, currently we visited 5 schools, and we are looking at visiting like around other 5 schools this year. So we do it on a bi-monthly basis. Yeah, and for us, it is not the big schools that you think about, because we believe the big schools, they already have mentors, they already have sessions, people coming to talk to them. We're focusing on those small day schools in your village. Okay, whoever gets an opportunity to come from Nairobi to go and speak to those students in such schools, okay? It rarely happens. For them, they don't know about anything about mentorship, career development. No one talks to them about that. So those are the people we're focusing on now, and just trying to elevate them to the standards of other schools. And when we do the visits, we occasionally contribute to buy books for them, revision materials, especially for mathematics, mathematics, chemistry, physics, and biology, because those are the main subjects for taking up engineering courses. So yeah, it's open to any engineer that is willing to take up the course and be part of the initiative.
That's quite good to know. And for those of us who are willing to join, please let's support Maureen and the good work that she's doing. And Maureen, just also to know, are you a member of IEK?
Yes, I'm a member of IK. I'm a member of EBK. I'm also a member of IEEE. Last year, I did a paper. My paper was published on IEEE. If you look up Maureen Adhiambo as one of the authors, you'll get a paper by the title Energy Conservation Measures in a Manufacturing Industry. And for that, I based my case study on Schneider Electric manufacturing plant in Nairobi. So, and I intend to do more publications on IEEE going forward. So that was my first paper that was published last year. And for me, it was just a confirmation that my passion for energy management is actually very real and alive. And I'm looking forward to venturing more into research on energy management.
You should produce more of such. You are quite a resource for this country and the world.
Thank you.
And yes, even as we near the close of this conversation, have you considered applying for a transition to be a professional engineer?
Yes, I'm currently in the process. I've done my technical and experience reports. It's currently under review by my supervisor. So my target is to get professional registration this year. And hopefully the next time I come to this platform again, you'll be addressing me as Engineer Maureen. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I'm meant to that. We are waiting also for such an opportunity.
Mm,
It would be great to know that you're making a good stride at transition.
yes. Thank you.
So,
Mm.
with that, we've come to, would like to end it at that point because we can still continue and we will not exhaust the conversation. Thank you, Maureen, for being part of us.
Thanks very much. It's been quite an interesting and mind-opening conversation, and I'm also very grateful for having me to be part of this session today.
It's Okello again. We are grateful to have had this conversation with Maureen Adhiambo. As we come to the close of this episode, I'd like to take a moment to share some of my highlights from this episode. One of the highlights was Maureen's growth mindset. When she joined Schneider, she knew this was a company within which she wanted to grow. Thus, when she felt she had mastered tendering after 4 years, rather than sitting comfortably, she decided it was time to grow and face a new challenge. And this leads me to my second highlight about being proactive. While Schneider is a big company, opportunities don't just present themselves. In her quest for growth, she reached out to her managers and had a conversation about her aspirations, and this led them to see the need for a power systems offer manager. But this was after she had made them see the need for that position. So she presented a case, and through that interaction, an opportunity was created. My final highlight of the episode would be the aspect of learning on the job. In spite of the fact that Maureen never learned any sales while in university, and having had a hard time in her first job doing sales, she took it upon herself to learn how to get better at it. This was done partly by shadowing her manager, but also by making a resolve in her mind to make it a priority skill to have in her arsenal. All in all, this was a pretty insightful conversation, and I hope you learned something new. Thank you for listening, and I hope to have you listening on the next episode.
If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to say a big thank you. Remember that you can listen to Mhandisi, the Engineers Podcast, anytime, anywhere on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. And please leave us a review whenever you listen. Thanks again, and see you next time.